He turned and looked at me and said, "I thought you would have realized by now. We didn't hire you for your opinion." I sat there paralyzed. His words, my CEO's words, hung in the room. It was in that moment that I realized I wasn't living my own life. I was 38 years old, and I had lost the way. This was the job I was supposed to have. People who have the career progression take this job. The big title, the big name company, the big salary. Yet as his comments sank in, it felt as if I was falling, as if I had climbed to the top of a mountain and gotten my fingers over the ledge of status only to have someone step on them. In that moment, I felt every negative emotion that a person can feel. Shame, doubt, fear, insecurity, anger, frustration, hate. How did I lose the way? But my story isn't unique. Millions of people every day go to jobs that they hate. They chase goals they didn't choose. And get caught in what I call the status trap, the invisible prison of social expectations. It was a defining moment in my life, and it's why I'm here today. It's astounding how many of us want to live extraordinary lives, yet we prioritize through our actions fitting in, getting by, doing what is expected. How many of you have made a decision not because you wanted to, but because it's what you thought was expected of you? Me too. Me too. See, status is a blind spot for so many of us. Our society early teaches us to fit in. George Bernard Shaw wrote, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable man persists in adapting the world to himself. Therefore, all progress comes from the unreasonable man." Unreasonable people get unreasonable results, yet so few of us live unreasonable lives. Now, as we're pushed to fit in, as we're pushed, right, we're told, do this thing, get this job, don't touch that, don't say that, listen to your teacher, take these classes. The status trap is all around us. It's our parents convincing us to get the law degree because it's sensible and safe. It's spending the entire day on the beach staging Instagram photos instead of enjoying our vacation. It's the big, expensive house in the nice neighborhood that comes with a soul-crushing commute. Now, to be clear, there's a fine line between giving into the demands of status and sacrificing for our friends and family. That soul-crushing commute may be to get your kids into a better school. The sensible, safe job, that may be a placeholder until you can get your entrepreneurial journey off the ground. What I realized in my experience was that status is a limiting belief that denies us our full potential. We prioritize mastering the system over mastering our craft. And by prioritizing status, we outsource our passions, our dreams, our goals to other people, to what is expected. We chase significance, we're intoxicated by attention, and we trade comfort for action, conformity for impact, and inertia for legacy. Tyler Durden said it best: we buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people that we don't like. Or maybe put it another way, we all start at the bottom of the ocean in the darkness, unsure of what to do, who to become. And along comes the anglerfish with its little light dangling, and that comforting light feels like the way. It lures us in with rewards and accolades and attention, but lurking in the darkness behind that light is the real danger, the silent suffocation of who we were always meant to be, when all we had to do was swim up. I'm here today to challenge you. Challenge you to examine your relationship to status, reframe your approach to success, and give you 3 principles that will create an immunity to the status trap. See, because status in and of itself is not a bad thing. There is a reason that status is baked into our human system. It's comfort, security, routine. A study published in the National Library of Medicine showed that conformity actually reduces short-term stress because we avoid conflict and rejection. How many of us can relate to that? Status in and of itself is not the problem. The corruption lies in why we achieve status. For in that same study, those short-term benefits felt by conforming lead to long-term impacts in negative mental health. We are not born chasing status, but early in our lives, we choose how we're going to play the game. If we choose the path of comfort, or choose the path of status, we're also choosing comfort. People like this do these things and have these expectations. We go to the same movies, we attend the same universities, we have the same belief structures, we get the same jobs, we live in the same neighborhoods. We talk the same way. Be agreeable, be nice, get along, avoid confrontation. The American system was built to produce cogs in the machine. Great for the machine, bad for the cogs. But this is not an American issue. There's a Japanese proverb, famous, you've most likely heard this: the nail that sticks out gets hammered. In Australia, they call this tall poppy syndrome. In the Scandinavian countries, it's called the law of Jante. And I'm paraphrasing here. Do not believe yourself bigger than we are. Society's encouragement of conformity has been a human problem as old as time. The good news is, there is another way. See, I wasn't born with status. I grew up in a small town of 900 people in the middle of woods of upstate New York. We used to say that you could leave your doors open at night because the criminals lived in our town. They didn't steal in our town. Needless to say, not an opportunity-rich environment. But I can remember as early as 12 years old, all I wanted to do was get out of that town. I did not want my life to be dictated to me by its desperation. And at that time, I believed the only way out was money. So at 12 years old, I started waking up at 5 a.m. every Thursday, grabbing 2 large 50-gallon trash bags and heading out into the dark. Why Thursday? Because Thursday was recycling day. And every Thursday, my neighbors would put all their bottles and cans and other recyclables into little dirty blue bins and stick them out on the street. And I would walk from house to house, rummaging through those blue bins to find the bottles and cans with a 5-cent deposit. After about an hour and a half, my 2 trash bags would be full, and I had to have about $30 in profit. This is a zero-status job. My neighbors would eyeball me through their windows, open their doors and yell things at me. My friends used to ridicule me, call me garbage boy and garbage picker. And despite the fact that I told them how much money I was putting in my pocket, none of them would join me. Picking garbage was beneath them. We have 2 options in life. You can fit in, you can conform, you can play the status game, or Or you could take a lesson from Steve Martin and be so good they can't ignore you. Or put in context of our conversation today, be so unreasonable they can't ignore you. Because it's completely unreasonable for a 12-year-old to throw on a snowsuit because it's 20 degrees out and go pick garbage for 5 cents a pop. But here's the rub. After a few months, my neighbors stopped eyeballing me, stopped yelling things at me. And my friends, they liked hanging out with the guy that always had money in his pocket. Shockingly. See, I changed my status. Not because I fit in, not because I followed along and did what was expected, but because I was willing to do whatever was necessary to create a better future regardless of the expectations. We chase status, but we envy execution. That's 12-year-old me, by the way. Fast forward back to being 38, I had forgotten all the lessons that I learned when I was 12. And as I sat there, stewing in fear and doubt and all this negativity, I couldn't get past the fact that I felt like I was supposed to be here. Like, this is a great job. This is where I should be. Yet I hated it there. The culture wasn't a good fit. I never aligned with the CEO. I hated how much I had to travel. But I took the job anyways because I wanted the status. I wanted people to know how important and special and smart and amazing I was. And I was paying the price. Needless to say, I did not speak again in that meeting. I sat there, and when the meeting was over, I stood up and dragged myself back to my office. See, I didn't realize it at the time, but status-seeking behavior activates the same neural pathways in our brain as addiction. At 38, I was addicted to status because I had done things. People wanted to interview me. They wanted me to be on their podcast. They wanted me to come speak at their events. And as I slumped down in my chair, staring out the window of my 15th floor office, torturous questions started to enter my brain. Was this it? Was this the top? Would I ever get another opportunity like this? How did I lose the path? And it was in that moment that I started to picture my 12-year-old self again. And I started to think about all the things that I was willing to do to create a better future. I remember making my high school varsity football team as a sophomore for the sole reason that I was the only guy in the program willing to lower himself to become a long snapper. That's the guy that hikes the ball between his legs to field goal kickers and punters for our non-football fans out there. Not a prima donna position. But I wanted to be on that varsity football team, and I'd do anything to get there. I remember sending letters to every college baseball coach within a 6-hour radius of my home, explaining that there was one factor that would determine which college this power-hitting catcher committed to. And that was who gave me the biggest scholarship. Not because I was greedy, but because I was poor, and it was the only way I was going to college. And I began taking notes. And those notes, though not refined at the time, became the 3 principles that I'm here to share with you today. 3 principles that have guided my life ever since. 3 principles that, when followed, create an immunity to the status trap and empower us to be our unreasonable selves. Principle number 1, fear is a vector to action. I had not yet read Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle is the Way, but it's the same idea. Fear would be my guide, not my anchor. And in my case, that was the fear that I felt from the pull of entrepreneurship. And a year later, I founded my first company, Rogue Risk, a first-of-its-kind digital insurance agency. Principle number 2, you give permission. You give permission. I would no longer allow my actions to be dictated to me by the opinions and expectations of others. My unique approach to, in this case, the insurance business would not stay just notes on a page because the industry didn't get it. And by applying that unique approach to business, we were able to scale that business so fast that we sold it in 2 years and I exited in 4. Principle number 3, what you focus on is who you become. I could continue focusing on gaining, keeping, preserving status, placating others, doing what was expected, or I could focus on mastering my craft. And in this case, my craft was business building, leadership. And by working on those skills, I was able to bring an idea that had been stewing in my brain for 15 years to life. There's a quote that just rents space in my brain, and it's from Emerson. God will not have his work made manifest by cowards. My hope for you today, my challenge to you today is not should or shouldn't you chase status. It's do you have the courage to choose the life that you want, to become the unreasonable person that God intended you to be. And if you can't take 3 principles home, if that's too much, if you just want one, the inner forearm tattoo-worthy principle, it's this. What you focus on is who you become. What you choose to focus on is who you become. The choice is yours. Choose wisely. This is the way.